All right, good morning, everyone. So today I'm out draining the bell waterers inside the chicken tractor. We're done with the chicken tractor for the year. It's October 1st. We went ahead and processed out the Cornish Cross meat birds, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. We have done the same system on Cornish Cross meat chickens for, this would be the 6th or 7th season. And a couple of those years we did 2 or 3 batches, 2 batches in a couple of years. So we're I'd say I'm pretty well knowledged in doing them. Definitely not an expert, but in the past I've always bought my meat chickens from the same place and have had the same results. We would average out at 6.25 pounds in 8 weeks, 50 birds on, I always say it takes 650 pounds of feed, but actually I'm incorrect in that, because we do feed out about 75 pounds before we get into the chicken tractor. So it'd be roughly 725 pounds. But the chicken tractor itself holds 650, and we run those birds in there. They'll be in there for 5 weeks, 5.5, depending on weather, and move them, into here after 2.5 weeks. In the brooder, 50 to 75 pounds of feed, but in my earlier statements, I wasn't really counting that. So this year, the hatchery that I normally get my birds from didn't have any. I don't know if it was avian bird flu or whatever, but they didn't have any, so I ordered from somewhere else. See, we have a little feed left in there as usual. I come up and vacuum that out to keep the mice and critters from getting it. So anyway, to the point of the video, we have done this over and over. This is the first year we used a different hatchery, and there were definitely some changes. Some things were different. So the birds that we normally get from the other hatchery, we always lose birds in the first week or two. And Moyers out of Quakertown, PA is who we usually use. So they have always sent us a couple extra birds, maybe 3, and we usually end up finishing at what we originally ordered. So they're pretty good at knowing you're going to lose some birds. The new place we used, they didn't do that. Also, we Moyers out of Quakertown, Pennsylvania, they sex them, so you can pay a little extra to have all males. Okay, the place I used this time, they didn't have that as an option. So, okay, not a big deal. We're gonna have a little bit smaller birds. So anyway, we put the birds in the chicken tractor. We started down there, all the way down there, made it all the way up here, and then 3/4 of the way back. Daily moves on tall grass, keep them from getting nasty. And we went 8 weeks. Well, we lost 1 bird in the very first week. Okay, that's expected. And then everything seemed well. We got to week 6. I came out, and it wasn't the biggest bird in the bunch. It was one of the smaller ones, dead. Okay, so we lost a bird. Yeah, well, we usually lose some birds. The next week, another smaller one dead. The next week, anyway, we ended up losing 5 birds, so 10%, 9 point whatever percent. The birds died, but these birds died later on. So I have feeding time into them where I normally don't have any birds dying when they get to that age. And they were not the biggest birds, so it wasn't that I mean, maybe they had heart attacks, whatever. But I'd never experienced that before. So that was a little disheartening. And then normally we fill that chicken tractor and it is good to the end. We have what I showed you in that video left over every time, putting 650 pounds of feed in there, moving them daily on grass. 1 year we did not move them daily on grass because it was so wet that we just put compost or wood chip down to keep them out of their manure every day. And those birds did go through maybe an extra 75 pounds. Well, these birds, we ended up putting an additional 150 in there. So now we're up to 800 pounds in the chicken tractor and 75 pounds into the brooder. So, okay, they ate more. I noticed that they had feathered out more and they just looked small, but since they started dropping, I didn't want to risk running them an extra week, and the amount of feed that was in there wasn't really adding up. I thought that I was remembering what they were supposed to look like wrong. So we ended up processing them right at 8 weeks, 50 birds. And the results were, I guess, I don't know, not what I have been used to. We ended up with 5 1/4 pound birds on average. The heaviest one was 7 pounds, and there was 2 of them. So, okay. There were a couple of 3-pound birds. A lot of them in the high 5s, but nothing in the 6s. So, the hatchery claims they don't sex their birds, and I'm not going to be in agreement with that. They did sex their birds. They sent me 6 males, and the rest were all females. And in Cornish Cross, people want males, so they sent me all female hens that didn't put on the weight. So I will not be ordering them from them again. Also, I wonder if it could be genetics that are different. I know they're supposed to all be Cornish Cross, but I know that I've read a lot about cattle, same breed of cattle that has been in one climate for, 50, 60 years, then gets shipped to a totally different climate. They don't perform, so maybe that is what it is with these birds. The place that I used this year was out of, I believe, North or South Carolina, and Pennsylvania is much closer to us. We do our meat birds the same time of year, every year, so the weather was definitely a little different. It was a little drier, which would actually seem like it would be better. But yeah, so a little over 5-pound birds on an extra 150 pounds of feed, and they definitely had a lot more feathers. You'd think they looked healthier, but they were very small and lethargic. I didn't make an update video in the middle of that because people weren't really watching the Cornish Cross videos. So, but this video is for my documentation, and I will recommend that anyone who is going to raise Cornish Cross for themselves find a hatchery closer to you, and don't settle for something just because you think you need it. Make sure it's what you want. When I do them, the work involved, I want to have I want males, and I want them to be bigger. I don't want it to spend the extra feed cost on smaller birds. It actually makes no sense. We haven't eaten one yet. Maybe there's something there, but I didn't see it. So that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching. And just trying to show a little bit fall's coming in New York State. Have a great day.